So, if you're joining us for the first time, we have this beautiful little wisdom wheel, and it contains questions from you, the community. And it is in need of more questions. So, as questions arise as we go through this new theme this year, please email those to me so I can get them on here. So, the overarching theme for this morning is understanding our relationship with the law of cause and effect. And so now we're going to figure out how that's going to be specifically focused. When things are going well in my world, but not the world. So we're going to explore the law of cause and effect in that context. This will be fun. Let's take a breath together. So I was out to dinner with some folks, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, and we were talking about how to determine the problem of an issue, like what's the real problem. And somebody pointed out that someone else pointed out to them, if you really want to know what's at the core of any issue, just say issue really fast 5 times. Did you get it? It's you, it's you, it's you! I'm just saying. That is at the core of every issue we face. This thing of cause and effect, we like to think of them as different things. They're just different sides of the same coin. We like to think of cause as spiritual and effect as the physical realm, as if they're separate. But if we really understand cause, if we really understand that there is only one thing happening, there's one source, there's one substance, one, and it's expressing itself in the physical realm, then duality ceases to be a thing. I mean, you would think we actually planned this. I had no idea what Gary was going to say. But it's everything. None of that stuff is the truth of us. It is the effect of us expressing. So we're going to really take all these things apart this year. Before I get too deep into this, I want to be really clear. The overarching theme this year really is first thing first. Notice there's no S to things. First thing first. Because we have this lie operating in our brain that we can do multiple things at the same time. No, we can't. No, we can't. Not really. And the first thing is really the only thing. And you get to decide what you're going to put first. I don't. Some days I'm not sure who's deciding what I put first, because some days I slip into denial and I think you did that to me. Right? Anybody have those moments where life did something to them? I had to laugh yesterday. I was way ahead of schedule with all these new slides and a new order of service, and everything was ready to go at 8:30 in the morning. And I was actually going to kick back and relax a little, watch a little football, and then my phone started blowing up with text messages of people that had changes in their situations, which then changed my situation. And I would love to tell you that my first reaction was a spiritual response of, cool, look how creative I get to be today. That was not what it was. At all. Now, because I do a clear, consistent spiritual practice, I didn't stay in the, are you kidding me? Very long. But that's the first place I went. That suddenly life happened to me. Right? There was some evil force acting against me. Ruining my day. Ruining my plans. Making me do things I didn't plan on doing. Now, this thing of cause and effect, I don't care what we put in its place, it's always what's happening. It's always, we can put it in whatever wrapping paper we want, but the only thing that's really happening is cause and effect. Yes. All the time. We can call it the law of gravity, we can call it the law of attraction, we can call it the law of circulation, but when it comes right down to it, it's all the law of cause and effect. Truth. That's it. This is a really simple teaching, but it doesn't make it easy. It just makes it simple. And so, as I'm grumbling my way through the revisions of things, it dawned on me that this is the law of cause and effect, dude. You're the one who set in motion that for 2025, you are just going to give and give and give and give. You're the one that said that. Here it is. How you like it? Because if you're just really committed to giving freely, this is an opportunity, not something to be upset about. This is something to celebrate. This is an effect of cause set in motion by my declaration. Now, the difference is, I didn't mean for it to look this way. Right. The first step, because we're really going on the 12-step model here, not from the standpoint of substances, but from the standpoint of spiritual principle. The very first step written in Alcoholics Anonymous, which is where they all came from, was I'm powerless over alcohol and my life is unmanageable. Now you can fill in the blank. I'm powerless over addiction. I'm powerless over people, places, and things. I'm powerless over the law of cause and effect. Yes. And trying to control it is making my life unmanageable. We have to understand what cause is. Because we in metaphysics oftentimes think we do control the law of cause and effect. We do not. That is the operation of law. Come on. Cause. All right. Law. Let's start with law. And for those of you that want them, the law of cause and effect, my printer acted up, and then I ran out of paper. But I managed to get 8 of them done. And they're over on the table. Because every week I'm going to provide you with an invitation to do some exercises to help you get clear about what you're actually believing that you may not even know you're believing. Okay? Because we get so into it, we think it's true when maybe it's not. Maybe it's just, we're used to it. Just because I believe it doesn't make it true. Just so you know. Just because you believe it doesn't make it true. It just means it will manifest in your life. So law, defined in Science of Mind, is mind in action. The creative medium of spirit is the great mental law of the universe. It is the law of spirit. It is the law of mind. The law of mind and spirit must be understood if they are to be consciously used for definite purposes. Bottom line is, law is just the doer. It's just the doer. It's the fulfillment center of spiritual Amazon land. Right? The order comes in and the machine goes to work filling it. That's the activity of law. It doesn't say, you sure you want this? Doesn't do that. It just goes, okay. Doesn't second guess it. Doesn't filter it. Doesn't massage it. Doesn't improve it. It simply acts upon it. Cause, there's one cause, and it has nothing to do with fault. Okay? Cause in metaphysics is the originator, the original source of something. What actually causes it to be, not what made it happen. Cause is synonymous with consciousness itself, energy. Yes. Whatever, has a gazillion names because language does that. Yes. All right. But ultimately, cause, if you have a bent towards science, cause is the quantum field. It is that energy, that thing that wasn't created out of something else. It simply has always been. It's that thing that we can't find the origin of. It's that thing that we go back as far as the Big Bang, but what did those things come out of? In order for there to be a Big Bang, there had to be things to bang together. Where'd they come from? We can't answer that. We don't know. They came from consciousness, from cause. What we use is consciousness. We set it in motion by our thought. We propel it. And then we have no control after that. And it's important to really get that. That all we're doing is moving consciousness. Thought is a movement of consciousness. Not a movement in consciousness. It is a movement of consciousness. Okay? Just like if this is consciousness, that's thought. It moves it. Now what happens from here? I don't know. Somebody might come trip over it. Somebody might take it and put it somewhere else. But we just move it. We set it in motion. Law acts upon it. And then comes effect. The land of perception. The land of perception. Right? It was 19 degrees warm when I went outside this morning. Why do I call it 19 degrees warm? Because I'm trying to tell my brain that I'm not going to die. It's been spoiled by living in California for a while. And 19 degrees was like, what? Right? But the truth of the matter is, 19 degrees is 19 degrees. Do I want to experience it as cold or do I want to experience 19 degrees warm? I get to choose. It's not going to change the temperature, but it certainly changes how I experience it. Because if I go outside and I'm like, oh, good God, it's 19 degrees, then I'm having this kind of experience. And I'm like, there's not enough clothes to get warm, and what am I doing out here? And God, now I hate my job. It just goes from there. Versus, it's 19 degrees warm. Let me put that on Facebook and irritate the world. Because I'm not responsible for what you do when you read it. But we get to choose how we experience it. Yes. We get to choose. Yes. Right? Effect is always temporary. And it is always up for interpretation. Always. I'm powerless over. The step could really stop there in metaphysics. Because if it's true that there's only one, how does one have power over anything? I'll wait. One can't have power over anything. Power over something requires two things at least. It's power of. And so for me to admit that I am powerless over is easy. That's easy. It just takes me immediately to one. Well, of course I'm powerless over, because there is no over. And trying to even think about being powerless over something makes my life excruciatingly unmanageable, because I am trying to manage one in duality. It is never going to work. There is always going to be a disconnect. I am always going to be in dis-ease. Always. And then the behaviors come into play. And that's where addiction, chemical or behavioral or mental, come into play. Because rather than correcting my thought, I seek things outside of me to reconcile the dis-ease of being out of alignment with the truth of my being.
It's all right.
Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's exercise, fitness. There's a lot of people who misuse fitness. Rather than changing their belief system about their value, they injure themselves. They sacrifice time with their family. They're completely off scale with something that is potentially positive. But now I'm using it to mitigate dis-ease. What I know is that when I live in oneness, when I live in alignment with the truth of my being, I don't have to run from my feelings. Because there's nothing in me that feels disconnected or in pain or dis-ease. Nothing. This idea, and there's a reason I left this to the very end. When things are going well in my world, in my life, but not the world, that is a lie. And it's impossible. Because there is no separation between your life and the world. You can't be having a great life and the world be going to hell. Because you're a part of what's going to hell. And you believing that your life is separate from that is part of what's sending it to hell. You are not separate. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, what happened in New Orleans. You're not separate from that. You're not separate from that. You're not separate from the dis-ease that that young man was experiencing that led to his choice. You're not separate from that. And that's the place where we have to begin to get clear, to heal. As long as anybody is sick, I am sick. There's one body. You don't go to the doctor and the doctor tells you you have this group of sick cells, but no worries, the rest of your body's going to be just fine. It's just these cells that are sick. But that's what we do with humanity all the time. It's what we do with our planet all the time. We conveniently We're metaphysicians and we're all about oneness until you think I need to change something I don't necessarily want to change, and now I'm going to split off into duality and that ain't mine. That is a lie. As long as one person is in poverty, we are all in poverty. As long as one person is in pain, we're all in pain. That's the truth of one. That's the truth of one. As long as our planet is being raped by industry, we're all being raped by industry. As long as our resources are being squandered, we're all squandering them. How do we resolve that? Well, we have 51 more weeks to work on that. Because we're not going to get there today. But what I can tell you is just like the first step. The first step is getting honest. Because you can't change anything that you're lying to yourself about. You can't. The recovery materials talk about stopping something. And recovery is then possible. So today is about stopping. Today is about owning, what do I need to stop? What am I setting in motion that isn't helping the whole body of creation? Because too many of us try to change it without stopping it. It doesn't work. You cannot change the problem at the level that created it. Sometimes we just have to stop first. Let the feelings come. I promise you, the feelings will pass. But if you don't stop, they will just perpetuate because you're perpetuating them by not stopping. You're using cause to create the effect of those feelings. The first step is stop. Just stop. You don't have to know what to do next. You don't. Just spend the week stopping. This will be in the newsletter. There are 8 of them over on the table. They're really simple. They really are. They're intended to be simple. Doesn't mean stuff won't come up for you. All right. I give you the metaphysical definition of law. And then the exercise is to spend at least 5 minutes silently contemplating the word law. And then to respond to the following prompt in your own words. What does law mean to me? Not hard. No right answer, no wrong answer. And it goes through that with several things. I'm going to pull just this, and then I give you 3 quotes to do something a little different with. That's automatic writing. But my favorite quote that was new to me, but I could so deeply resonate with, actually comes out of Ideas of Power. There is a law of cause and effect that beats us up when we beat life up, and will beat the living stuffing out of us until we get tired of it and have had enough and act in accord with the laws of harmony, which are fundamental to the nature of God and the universe in which you and I live. I was like, well, that's pretty clear. There's no getting around anything that will beat the stuffing out of us. This stuff isn't complicated. We're taking the headiness out of it and putting the heart in it. Practical applications. We're going to have the wrench, and we're going to know what bolt to put it on, and we're going to know which direction to turn it, and we're going to heal. And we're not just going to heal our individualized selves, because what heals in one place heals every place. There's only one. It's only one body, We are cells in it. Just like this is the micro, this is the macro. This body is an example of the body of creation. Within it, there are 7 billion cells. Last I heard, there's about 7 billion people on planet Earth. It's an interesting correlation. I'm just saying. Right? One body. Everything in form is a cell in that body. The healthiest body is when everything is operating harmoniously. The only way that happens is alignment. So we're going to work on that. Okay. So I'm going to save the closing prayer for after the offering. So I invite you to turn within. To recognize with me that there is only one infinite, limitless, nameless, changeless cause, substance, source. That it expresses in exquisite individualizations of itself, no two alike, and yet never separate from itself. That it is life expressing as life. It is love expressing as love. It is peace expressing as peace. All that is in form, all that surrounds form, all that form comes out of and returns to, is this one. And so we are it. We are literally full of it. Surrounded by it. And so I speak my word, claiming and affirming that the harmonious operation of one, the nature of creation's being, is moving each expression of itself into alignment with itself. That everything unlike that is rising to the surface, to be seen, to be heard, to be healed. I speak my word, claiming and affirming that life stands on its own agency to move consciousness into the activity of law, into the healing of all separation, all sense of separation, all ideas of power over, healed simply by the recognition of one. And I am grateful, so grateful for the activity of law that only knows yes. Only knows yes. Receives whatever we give it and makes it happen. Grateful. And so I speak a word of gratitude for the infinite as money, as that supporting substance of Columbia CSL. I give thanks for the energy of service that makes the service happen. That divine yes from each person that volunteers and gives of themselves to this community, that ripples beyond the walls of this community, energetically, and to all who experience it whenever they experience it. I speak a word of gratitude for that love that just gives of itself to itself. And so knowing it is already complete, knowing it is expanding as I speak, I can let go. I can surrender any preconceived ideas, any thought that creates the need or the desire or the delusion of control over. I let go. And I stand with my mind and heart wide open to be amazed at how law unfolds it all. And I invite you to join me. Make this your own as we say together, and so it is.